like a boss.
Hey, what's up? This is Alex from Mindful Attraction. So, today we're going to be talking about a very unique topic that I enjoy talking about, and that's how to see into the future. All right? And the reason why I want to make this video is because a lot of people have a nearsighted vision wherein they're so consumed by desires. They're so caught up in the past because of past victories, because of past failures, because of unnecessary attachments, that they fail to look into the most important aspect about life, and that's anticipating events and planning for it. Being able to look deeply into the future and create a plan for your life so that you can avoid manipulations, so that you can get what you want in life without that much bloodshed, and so that you can get what you want in life without being reactive. All right, and so this could be looked at as a superpower, because a lot of people struggle with this, because in order for you to look into the future, it requires your number one and most important tool, and that's the ability to use your rational mind. Right? So why do people struggle looking into the future? The first thing is they trust appearances. Humans by nature, one of the laws of human nature is that we trust appearances. It's very difficult for us to. It takes a lot of effort for us to look underneath the surface of things, right? And so because of that, we assume that that things are the way they will, we assume that because things are the way they are, they will always be that way. But if you get in the habit of questioning what's reality, right, you'll notice that there is an impermanence to things, that things do not stay the way they are. They're not static. Just because things are great right now in your life doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. So in the same light, just because your life sucks right now, just because your circumstance kind of sucks, doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. If you really, really look into the facts of life and the reality of things, you'll see a very malleable structure that you could change with your intention. Right? Another thing that people struggle with, and that's stagnation and fear of the unknown. Right? A lot of people, they fear looking into the future because they might see that if they look into the future, they might notice that they have an uphill climb. That the future, it's kind of like having a negative bank account. You don't want to see your negative bank account, because looking at your bank account tells you how much you owe. And so rather than facing reality, you choose to stagnate. You choose to stay where you are and become a victim and reactive to life. Another thing that causes people to not look into the future is a lack of connection to the moment through attachment to past victories and failures. So something good happened in your life in the past, and so you think that because something you did caused a certain event, you sort of close your mind off to a certain way of thinking. So just because something worked in the past doesn't mean it's gonna work. That doesn't mean it's gonna work in the future. You see, so just because you did something in the past that caused a certain outcome that you like, doesn't mean it's gonna keep recreating those results. But the problem is that a lot of people, they're very scared of trying something new because it requires a certain learning curve. And so rather than having to formulate new patterns of thinking, new patterns of learning, they rather stick with the old, with what worked. You see what I'm saying? Another thing is that maybe they failed in the past. Maybe they tried something and it hurt. So because of that, they associated planning for their lives as a negative and painful thing. So rather than actually challenging themselves, they stagnate and they choose conformity over getting uncomfortable and actually growing. So that's one thing. Your desires cloud your vision as well. Having deep desires for something without having a dynamic and fluid plan causes you to not see into the future, because you want something so badly that when you look into the future, you don't see what you want. So what do? You don't see what you want, so you just create it. For example, you have a partner, and you notice that the partner doesn't have good traits. And you notice that if you actually think about their traits and project them into the future, you notice that those traits really provide negative things. But because you want the guy so badly, you'll sort of formulate a way that it'll work. You'll say, you guy or girl, you'll say, man, like, sure, this person is an asshole, but I think I'll change them. So you begin to see a future of you changing a person. But that's not based on reality. You'll know that you shouldn't try to change people, but you still try to force it. You see, you want the relationship so badly that you're not really looking into the future, you're just looking at a reflection of your own desires. So when you want something, you ignore the true costs and benefits of them. So you don't really look into the future. You look into something that you have self-created, and that's not based on reality. So what are the keys to looking into the future? See the world through different lenses to make up for your blind spots. That's the first step. We all have blind spots because of our desires and our aversions. We all have blind spots. So what you have to do is see yourself through other people's eyes. That's the first step, right? It's not looking into the future, but begin to widen your vision of the world. So when you look at politicians, see what they see. Don't just fuck you, politician. Get into the habit of seeing the world the way they see it. When somebody rejects you, see the way they see you. How could they possibly see you in such a way that causes them to say no to you? See the world through their eyes. You see what I'm saying? When you have a new boss and an employee, don't just think about how to impress them. See the world, make an effort to step out of yourself and see the world through their eyes. It'll give you a new perspective, and this new perspective will give you more information about the terrain that you're going to be battling in. And so it allows you to create a plan, and it allows you to see more clearer the future because you have more information. Your vision isn't narrowed no more. See the world through the eyes of your enemies as well, and see what they see. See people who hate you and see what they see. See people who wish ill for you and see what they see. See, a lot of mistakes in life have been done because the people who made those mistakes were only looking at the world through their own eyes. But the people who have triumphed the most, the people who have achieved the most in life, there are people who not just saw the world through their perspective, but saw the world through the eyes of the enemy. And so they were able to see things that they couldn't see before. They were able to see centers of gravity that they weren't able to see before. They were able to see what were their strengths and weaknesses that they weren't able to see before. And even more importantly, they were able to see their own weaknesses, because they'll notice that by looking through the eyes of your own enemy, you begin to see weaknesses that they actually want to attack. You see what I'm saying? Another thing is, again, know the whole terrain from all angles before formulating an end goal. What I mean is that know all of your resources, get as much perspective as you can. So that means stepping out of your own perspective and seeing the world through other people's eyes, right? And then once you do that, you must learn to relax in the midst of chaos. Remember this, that chaos is not random events. Chaos are just events you haven't really noticed. Chaos are just a set of patterns you haven't really noticed. So it's important that when bad things happen in your life, when negative things happen, when you fail, when you succeed, do not allow the chaos to blind your vision. What you want to do is remain present. Consistently ask yourself, what's going on? How did I cause this? What events led to this? How can this event, try to learn to anticipate what's going to happen from this event onto the next event. Get in the habit of analyzing chaos and learning to relax into it. What begins to happen is that you begin to notice those patterns. You begin to notice that there is a certain pattern to life. There's a certain fluctuation, the ups and downs of life. And you begin to have a fingertip feel for these kind of things. And as a result, you sort of begin to learn how to anticipate events. You begin to see the things, you begin to just simply anticipate events. It's all about having a fingertip feel. But for you to do that, you got to have that presence of mind to be able to relax when things go wrong. And also, most importantly, to be able to relax when things go right. So, but first, observe the events. Begin to notice the patterns of life. See past experiences from yourself and others, and see what you could have done differently. See what did you do in these past experiences that caused you to have this current life. And soak yourself with that information and have an open mind when the events occur, and try to learn from those events as much as possible. Try to learn what caused it, like I said, and try to learn what will be the chain of reactions from these events so that you can sort of get a feel for life. This will help your strategies a lot more. So when you begin to plan out a plan for your life, like looking into the future, creating a goal, it's gonna be extremely based on reality, not based on your fantasies. Because you're gonna notice, if you do this right, that there is a certain pattern to life. That there is when you're learning something, it's gonna feel like you're not really learning, and then suddenly you get good. It's like a breaking point, right? But if you don't notice these patterns in your life, through you looking at your past experiences and learning from other people's past experiences, you're not really gonna get that good dose of reality. So what you have to do also is think deeply about what you currently have. When it comes to creating a goal, when it comes to looking into the future and formulating a plan for your life, you have to think deeply about what you currently have. Think deeply about your strengths, about your weaknesses, about what you naturally were always inclined to. Just think deeply about your resources. And don't focus on what you don't have. Focus on what you have and learn how to use what you currently have creatively. You want to start a YouTube channel, but you don't have a nice camera? Focus on whatever camera you have and the quality of it. Don't think about what you don't have. Learn to use what you have. Whether you have a free program that allows you to edit videos, right? Don't focus on getting Photoshop. Focus on that program and get good at it. There is something inherently good in learning how to use what you have, even though it isn't much. You see, it helps you, it expands the way you think. So what's gonna happen through this process is not that you're gonna gain your goal. It's not that you're gonna achieve your goal, even though you're gonna achieve your goal, even though you really are gonna look into the future. What's really gonna happen is that your goals are going to transform you. If you do this process properly, you're gonna notice that you just think differently. You process the world completely differently as opposed to how you used to. If you get good at, for example, if you see yourself as a basketball player, becoming an extremely good basketball player, you see that clearly, that goal and the discipline that is required and the level of concentration that you must put into getting good at basketball is the thing that transforms you. If you get good at basketball, you might get the reference of learning how to learn. You notice, let's say you say, I'm gonna get good at basketball, whatever, right? And you think that the best part about getting good at basketball is basketball. But then when you actually got good at basketball, you look back and you start noticing, holy shit, like I once sucked at basketball and now I'm good at it. And then let's say you go towards another new goal. Let's say you want to get good at business. And you're struggling at business. And then you look back into when you play basketball and you're like, fuck, I remember I sucked at basketball. Man, I remember that. Boom. You start noticing, wait a minute. Is the pattern of when I learned basketball happening again? You start noticing that you're struggling. You start noticing you're feeling that frustration. And because you're looking into the past and analyzing the past, right? You start noticing, this is the learning process. Let me keep going. I remember I sucked at something and now I'm getting, and then I got good at it. Now this is just part of the process. Let me keep going, right? And so because of your past and learning how to analyze your past, you have a clearer vision about your future, which is, this is all gonna pass. I'm gonna get good at this. So if you focus on programming, you could learn to see the world differently. If you go to another field and your programming might give you a competitive advantage. Oh, my bad. So that's how you do it. You look into the future first by learning how to look into the past, analyze what you did wrong, seeing the certain patterns of your behavior, and learning how to use what you currently have in its most creative way, right? And what's gonna happen by naturally, because your vision of the past is clear, and you're so in the moment because you're using what you currently have, and you're not focusing on what you don't have. Naturally, your vision of the future will become clearer. Not because you're some psychic, but because you'll know that there is a pattern of life, right? So let's say you want to get better with people. You know that you're gonna suck at it first, right? You notice what you currently have, the environment you live in, right? You create a plan based on what you currently have. You learn from other people's mistakes, and you could create a plan of getting good socially that's pretty much failure proof. If you study deeply the successful people who were at it and what they did differently, right? And it's not about forcefully controlling your future. It's about learning how to use information. It's about learning how to use past experiences. It's about learning how to engineer certain reverse engineer certain processes so that they can become inevitable. Like and look, I can talk deeply about this topic, but I think this is enough for now. And again, looking into the future is all about removing all unnecessary attachments and learning how and letting go of past victories and failures. Yeah, just because something worked in the past doesn't mean it's gonna work in the future. And if it doesn't work in the future, then find out why it's not gonna work. So yeah, anyways, this is Alex from Mindful Attraction 2.0. If you guys want one-on-one coaching, go to mindfulattraction.org/in-game coaching. Or go to the link below if you guys will be able to get coaching. Anyways, take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.